చూడలే.
అయ్యో.
Yes, Tamil. Shall we start? Tamil?
We can.
Tamil, is it connected to YouTube? Tamil? YouTube on ஆகுதா பாருங்க. Yes. Yeah, good evening, one and all. Let us start our national level webinar with the blessings of God Almighty. I am Dr. Sangeeta, Head PG Department of English, Thiruvalluvar University Constituent College, Kallakurichi, affiliated to Thiruvalluvar University. I am very proud of our continuous webinars because of the support of all our fellow participants. I thank you one and all. And at the outset, I feel immensely honored and express my thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Thamari Chelvi ma'am, and our respected Registrar, Professor Syed Shafi sir, and all our higher authorities of our Thiruvalluvar University, Vellore. And I welcome our guest resource person, Dr. Abhimanyu from Kashmir. I welcome you, sir. And I welcome all our fellow participants for their active participation. Without them, the program would be nothing. So I welcome you all once again. And today's topic is national webinar on literary sources. Sir will give you about the literary sources in Jammu, and before that I would like to give a brief introduction about the literary sources in Jammu. So Jammu Kashmir has a very rich literary history, as it has contributed a lot to the field of literature and produced eminent poets and writers. Works of Kashmiri writers have been accoladed internationally. The dawn of Kashmiri literature started 2,500 years back, when it started with the Sanskrit and other languages. However, original literature in Kashmiri language started 750 years ago. The literature began with the work of three poets. They are Shitikant, Lala Det, and Sheikh Nuruddin. Shitikant's prime work, Mahayana Prakash, is a great in consists of 94 lakhs, each followed by translation in Sanskrit. The greatest poet of Kashmiri language so far is Lal Del. She is the most abiding influence on Kashmiri literature, and her contemporary Sheikh Nuruddin have become famous literary icons in Kashmir. People have engulfed them in a great mass of myth and legend also. And Sheikh was a missionary who used poetry as a medium of individual and social reform. Another rhetorical poetess who used to sing her own verse was Haba Khatun, the wife of Mughal Emperor Yusuf Shah Sheikh. And there are many other rhymesters who won the fame and accolade of the people throughout the globe for their contribution to the world of literature. And many contemporary writers of Kashmiris are also very famous, and their works are being studied in various universities in America and England. Pirzada Ghulam Ahmed, popularly known as Mejur, is one of the greatest poets the beautiful land has produced. Mahmud Gami, Razul Mir, Permanent, Makbul Kralwari, Shamas Fakir, Amin Kamil are some of the most famous lyricists and writers of Kashmir. The list does not stop here. It goes on and on. Kashmir has a rich legacy of literary writers who contributed a lot to the world. The contemporary writers, Rahman Rahi is the greatest name. His writings has won accolade globally and has received many, including English. And the greatest poet of Kashmir who wrote in English was Aga Shahid Ali. He has written some memorable poetry and represented Kashmir at the highest level of English literature. He, however, died young due to brain tumor. And let us see the literature. It is said that Kashmiri is the only Dardic language with a literature, and Kashmiri literature too has originated more than 750 years ago. Though the Kashmiri language is so antique, the Kashmiri literature falls in the genre of modern literature. The earliest use of Kashmiri in literature is found in Kalhana's Rajatarangini, 12th century AD, I think, in which a three-word phrase of Kashmiri Apabhramsa is used. However, the earliest composition in Kashmiri appears to be the Mahanaya Prakasha of Siddhikanta Acharya, which belongs to the period 12,000 to 1200 to 1500 AD. Another work of unknown date called Chumma Sampradaya also provides the oldest specimen of Kashmiri literature. Contrary to what happened in other literatures, from the evidence available now, the first great Kashmiri literary writer was a 14th century Saiva woman saint Lala Didi, who has written many compositions in Kashmiri which are still very popular. She was fondly known as Lal Dat or Granny Lal. Her sensitivity and mysticism in the verses walk were celebrated by all, like the Hindus, Muslims, scholars and peasants. The shruks of Sheikh Nuruddin, Mahanai Prakash of Siddhikanta, Bansura Kada of Batawada, and Shukadana Charitam of Ganaka Prashasta are the other works emerged till 1555 AD, but they didn't receive much recognition. The sayings of shruks of another mystic poet, Sheikh Nuruddin, 1377 to 1440 AD, have been compiled in the book Nurnama or Rishnama. Uttasama, Yudhabhatra and Bhatta Avatara were the important Kashmiri poets in the court of Zainul Abidin from 1420 to 1470 AD. Uttasoma's treatise on music called Manaka, Yodhabhatta's Jaina Charitra and Jaina Prakasha, and Avatara's Jaina Vilasa were important works of this period. And Bana Suravada is considered as the earliest epic poem in Kashmiri. And during 1500 to 1800 AD, Kashmiri literature witnessed a mighty development in this period. And Huba Khatun, 1551 to 1606 AD, was a very remarkable poetess whose lyrics on love and romance called Lal still captivate the Kashmiri people. And Rupa Bhavani and Aranaimal were other great poetess of Kashmir. Sahib Kal, a Hindu poet who lived during the time of Jehangir, wrote Krishnavatara and Jananam Charita. The Ramavata Charita by Prakasha Rama, as its name suggests, is the epic of Lord Rama adopted from Ramayana, which was later followed by his Lavakusha Charita. Mir Abdullah Bahai's Koshir Akwait and Muktazar Vekhaptwa also belong to this period. When many Persian works like Laila Majnu and Shirin Kushro were adopted in Kashmiri, along with the mystical and esoteric verses perfected by Habibullah Naushadri and Rupa Bhavani, a new kind of love poetry developed. This was the beautiful law lyric sung mostly by women, and Haba Khatun and Aranimal were the ruling ladies of this genre. Translation of Persian literary works into Kashmiri by poets like Mahmud Ghani and Walula Matu, both mid-19th century, were done, and Masnavis, couples expressing one emotion, and Ghazals, romantic poetry set to music, were created and received with big appreciation. The legendary love tales of Laila and Majnu, Shirin and Farhad, Sohrab and Rustam, and many more belong to this period. Laila poetry was another innovation. Parmanand from 1791 to 1885 excelled in this kind of work. Prakash Ram, Makbul Shah, Lachan Raina, Russell Mir, and Shams Fakwir composed poetry in other forms also. Songs and ghazals have always been a part of their literary culture. In the first few decades of the 20th century, creative marvels of mystic and secular poetry, ghazals, masnavis, and gits were written. And in the period after 1800 AD, apart from Sanskrit and Persian, Urdu and English started influencing Kashmiri. And this paved way for the new ideas and styles in the Kashmiri literature. Mahmud Ghani, Makbul Shah, Parmanand, and Wahab pair were some of the early poets of this period. And Parmanand wrote many narrative poems like Radhasva, Sudesa Charitra, and Sivalagan based on Sanskrit Puranas. Abdul Wahab pair, 1845 to 1913, I think, adopted Firdausi's Shahnama into Kashmiri and also translated the Akbarnama. Another competent poet of the same period was Lakshman Ju, who authored Nala Damayanti and a number of ghazals and short poems in Kashmiri. The Sikandar Nama of the 12th century poet Nizami was translated into Kashmiri by Maulavi Siddiqullah. It is worth mentioning here that K.F. Burkhand and G.A. Grayson were the two European scholars who promoted Kashmiri literature during this period. Amin Kamil, the other important works of this period include Krishna Rasdan's Sivaparinaya, Dinanath's Krishna Vataralaya, and Vahilullah Mattu's Himalta Nagaraya, Azilullah Haquain's Gazliyut Hikwani, and Ramzan Bath's Akananta Dana. Then Pirzada Ghulam Ahmed Majroor from 1885 to 1952 was one of the earliest nationalistic poets of Kashmir, who wrote several lyrical and patriotic poems with political themes, And Nandalal Kal was a famous poet and dramatist of Kashmiri. He wrote noteworthy dramas like Satak Kauhat, Raman Raj, Dayalal, and Prahalada Bahat. These are all things. And Pandit Narayan Kar rendered Bhagavad Gita into Kashmiri, and this was a landmark in Kashmiri literature. Important Kashmiri poets of the post-independence and independence period include Abdul Ahmed Azad, Dinanath Ghulam Rasul Naski, Rahman Rahi, Abdul Haq Baq, and Nur Muhammad Roshan. So Kashmiri language, Dinanath Nadim's poems like Idara, Bagwana As, and Zindabad Shyamji brought new vigor into Kashmiri verse. Yambar Sel in 1953, which won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1967. Nadim, along with Roshan, produced another opera, Himalta Nagaraya, a recipient of the Sahitya Academy Award in 1962 for his Nauras-e-Saba. Another writer, Akhtar Mahuddin, also won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1958 for his collection of short stories, Satsangar. He also has two novels, Dodak and Lana, to his credit, and another collection of poems called Swanzol. Motilal Kemu is also a renowned dramatist who wrote powerful plays like Trinau and Manjuli Nika. So prose appeared pretty late in Kashmiri, only in the beginning of the 20th century. There's really not much good Kashmiri prose except for a few translations. It also the time of great socio-political movements all over the country, which had their impact on modern poets like Ghulam Ahmed Majhoor, 1885 to 1952, and Zinda Kal and Abdul Ahad Azad. Like Kashmiri prose, there are only a few noteworthy dramas like Somnath Sudshi's Viji Vav and some of from the Mechama series of Pushkar Ban. So this is it. So this is the brief introduction to the Kashmiri literary sources, and let me hand over the session to our guest resource person, Mr. Kanwar Abhimanyu Dev Singh Bilavaria from Kashmir. And before that, I would like to introduce him. Sir has completed his BA in English Honours and MA in History, also in English. And he is the Director and Senior English Language Teaching Trainer and Communication Skills Trainer at Communication County, Jammu, and a former faculty of English at UIET, Kato, University of Jammu. He has served University of Jammu for 1.5 years on various academic positions. As an author, he has 5 books to his credit, including a short history of Jammu Raj, and next one is Communication English Volume 1, Communication English Volume 2. Among his books include an anthology of poems, Bleeding Heart. His 5th book is titled as Society, Culture and Literature Volume 1, which is recently published. Society, Culture and Literature Volume 2 and 3 are in pipeline for publication, and he has also assisted Professor Anita Bilavaria in translation of Tariq I. Rajgan, Jammu wa Kashmir, to Thakur Khan Singh Bilavaria from Urdu to Hindi. His poems are published in many international anthologies, and he has contributed many research papers in many reputed journals and edited books. He has contributed in preparing history glossary in Dogri, a project by National Translation Mission, NTM, Central Institute of Indian Languages, Gaul, Mysore, Karnataka. He is also the communication skills mentor of J&K, NSDC, Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship, Goal, New Delhi. He has been invited as a resource person at various universities and educational institutions, including orientation and refresher courses organized by UGC and RMSA. He is also an active member of Intact Jammu chapter. He has been invited as judge to various elocutions and debate competitions organized by colleges and universities. He is a British Council certified trainer of IELTS. He also did his practitioners and master practitioners course of Neuro-Linguistics Program, NLP, from National Federation of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, Florida, USA, in 2013 and 14, respectively. In 2015, he completed his Train the Trainer program in NLP from NFNLP, Florida, USA. He is also the chairman of Royal Trust of Neuro-Linguistic Program, registered, where he trains people on NLP. He also done orientation program for translators by National Translation Mission. And Abhimanyu sir has presented research papers at many national and international conferences and seminars, and has Best Paper Presented Award at the Nation Conference in 2017 to his credit. As an organizer, he has many national and international events to his credit, including national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, and FDPs, and literary firsts. From 2012 to 2018, as a member of the Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, Jammu chapter, every year he organized Heritage Walk and Heritage Lecture series as a part of National Heritage Week observed across the globe. His area of research lies in feminism, folk art, folk culture, heritage, history, translation studies, Indian English writings, travel narrative, and cultural studies. Such an extraordinary, talented person is our resource person. I welcome you, sir. I hand over the session to sir and make it informative. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta, for such a wonderful and elaborated introduction of mine. Even I didn't know that I have done so much unless I didn't listen it to you. Thank you so much for making me feel so good at the beginning of the session. So before I start, I would like to congratulate to Dr. Sangeeta personally, with whom I have been interacting on the behalf of her organization, and Vice Chancellor and the Registrar of her organization for giving me this opportunity to be a resource person to come and share the information about Jammu region. Before I start, as in a very elaborated way, talked about the literature of Kashmir, considering it as the entire J&K state. So that is why I have taken this topic about Jammu in literary sources. Now, why I have taken this topic, Jammu in literary sources, reason being, very beginning, since 16th century, the colonizers have been trying to marginalize it. Yeah. May I request Dr. Firdaus to kindly mute the mic, and
Others, please unmute your voice. Thank you, sir. You continue, sir.
Yeah, so it has been marginalized by the colonizers, and since 1947, all the states, it's been 74 year of Indian independence, and we see, except Jammu and Kashmir, all the states have been settled except this Jammu and Kashmir state. Its identity, it's the socio-cultural identity, its socio-psychological identity, cultural identity of people of Jammu has been constantly being challenged, because in 1947, it was not the state which was handed over or entered the Union of India. The many parts of it were lost to Pakistan. Then many parts of this state were lost to China in 1962, and then in 2019 the special status has been removed, which I feel is for the benefit of the people, removed, and from state it had turned into UT, Union Territory, again removing Ladakh from its political control. So all the states have settled down except the state of J&K, and particularly after 1947, some political agencies have taken the control over, and on the basis they are doing the community cleansing of people. It happened in 1989 in Kashmir, where more than 18 or 19 lakh of people were made run out of the Kashmir, and the same maybe sooner or later will happen here also. So I have taken this topic, Jammu in literary sources. I would be talking about the region of Jammu, which and you know, how it has been represented in various literary sources from ancient texts till the 1947. Now, again, I would like to, why I have taken this topic is to track the distortion in the discourses which have been introduced by the colonizers. We all know that how colonizers work. As David Spur in Rhetoric of Empire, in his book, and Mary Pat in Imperial Eyes has wonderfully laid down the facts that they use literature, writing, historical, the native people, and present it in the colonial world so that they can be easily, so that the colonization can be justified. Now, why this distorted literature about the entire J&K state was formed? That is the question, why colonizers wanted to do it. One of the very Central Asian part, that is the state of Jammu, and erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, where there was Russia on the top, one side there was China, and on the other side we see there was Afghanistan and the oil fields. So this terrain to control Jammu, erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir, princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, so that they can have control. They can check the Russians, they can have inland control of China, and they can have control of oil fields in the towards Afghanistan. So that was one of the reasons that they wanted to control it, and to politically control it, they have to generate a literature, they have to generate the discourse so that they can you know, justify their colonized attitude. So I'm going to share the screen with you now, and with everyone. Where is present now? Yeah. If someone can tell me that the screen has been shared.
Yeah, so it is audible. Is it visible?
Yeah, can you see the presentation?
No, sir.
No?
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Oh, it is.
Visible, sir.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, visible,
Thank
sir.
you.
You continue, sir.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Now I am going to talk about Jammu in literary sources. So, yes, I'm going to, what I'm going to talk in this session, there are the sections of the session. Number one is Jammu in classical and Vedic literature, in which we have mostly the Sanskrit literature and Pali and Jain literature. Jammu in Persian sources, Jammu in contemporary sources of colonial discourse, Jammu in colonial travel narrative, and Jammu in colonial historical discourse and oral traditions of Jammu, from where we can talk about the history. Now, here is the map of Jammu and Kashmir. So here what you see, the orange region, the orange part, that is the Jammu right now, and some areas, if you can see the moving of the cursor, and some areas in Pakistan, and some areas little low in Punjab, they constituted the Jammu region then in the erstwhile state of J&K. So when I talk about Jammu region, which has been often referred as Madhya Pradesh, so this is the region from here till Jhelum. Jhelum flows from here. If you see you can see the movement of the cursor. The Jhelum flows from here like this. So this would be the entire region, Madhya Pradesh, which I would be referring to. I couldn't get the historical map, unfortunately. Okay, so what we have in classical literature. Through the classical literature in this session, I'm going to establish the geographical and the ecological, through the physical features. I'm going to establish or justify the existence of Jammu, of its people, of its culture, and the geography and the ecology which existed some 2000 or 3000 years ago. It even existed today. The ancient tribe, through the ancient tribe given in the different Veds and different classical texts, I'm trying to do the socio-cultural construct of that period. And the geopolitical division of the landscape, which of course tells its political boundaries and the power that it shared with the adjoining areas. First of all, let us talk about the mountain system which have been represented in the classical literature. In Nilmat Puran, the Himalayas have been referred as Anantagiri. So Giri, it certainly means the mountain which spreads from Kishtwar and Bhadrawah to the Poonch and the Rajouri, the upper region of Jammu. And it is also referred, and in Nilmat Puran, the Trikuta Parvat is referred as Usiraka. The Usiraka or Trikuta Parvat is the same mountain or the same hill on which Shri Mata Vaishno Devi resides. Next, in Mahabharat and Ashtadhyayi of Panini, we have the reference of Shivalik range, which was talked as Turkey, and it. No wonder Anandgiri has been also referred there. But another addition in Mahabharat and Ashtadhyayi, Panini's Ashtadhyayi, they talk about Turkey or the Shivalik range, which joins Jammu and Kangra. Kangra, that means the adjoining area of Himachal Pradesh. Now, this is one division or the chapter, I can say, is the Chula Himavata, which refers Trikuta, that is Trikuta again, the Mata Vaishno Devi shrine, as Usirdhwaja, and in Divya Vandana, it is referred as Usiragiri. So these both are the Vinay Patika and Divya Vandana, they both are the Pali text which I am talking about. Again, the direct word Trikuta has been used in various ways, all the 4 ways which we will be talking about in the future. The rivers and all the rivers which have been mentioned here in various Purans and the Veds and in Ramayana and Mahabharata is now in Pakistan, in Sialkot. Now, where is Sialkot? If there is a district in Jammu called as Samba, and if you go to the Samba fort, possibly you can see Sialkot's area from that place. So Sialkot is not very far. You can say from the J&K border with Pakistan, it is like 60-40 kilometers, 60 or 50 kilometers away. Another river which is called as Chandrabhaga, it has been referred in Nilmat Puran, and in Jammu, in Nilmat Puran, has been referred as Madhya Pradesh. And Chandrabhaga, the Chenab River, it is very historical because there is a Buddhist monastery has been discovered, excavated, a very huge monastery near Chenab in Akhnur region of Jammu has been excavated. Next, I'm going to, there is a reference of Devika River. Now, Devika River has been, through the efforts of Mr. Anil Paba, Devika River has been restored to its glory now. And I must say, at this platform, I must congratulate to him. Now, in Vishnu Puran, like in Nilmat Puran, Devika River was also referred in Vishnu Puran, and it was referred as there is a reference of Devika River in Vishnu Puran, and there is a city which is now called as Parmandal, and earlier it was referred as Tirathpur in Vishnu Puran, and these two, this area still exists, and Maharaja Ranbir Singh declared this Parmandal area or this Devika River as the another sort of Ganga where those who cannot go to Haridwar, those who cannot go, immerse the ashes of their dead ones there in at Parmandal. Iravati, another river which is often mentioned in Mahabharata and various ways. Now, Tausi and Tori river. Tausi and Tori, it is the system of three rivulets of the three small streams or rivers, which is basically Tavi. Now, this Tavi river, they have three origins, one at Punch, another at Noshera, and the Tavi, which was in Jammu, it starts from Shuddh Mahadev. Now, Shuddh Mahadev temple, everyone knows, there is a Trishul or the trident, which dates back to 7 or 800 BC. That means 2800 years old. Trishul, and there is, there are inscriptions on that Trishul. It's Mahadev in Jammu, and it's goes to Sialkot, and in Sialkot it mixes with Chenab River, which is Chandrabhaga, mentioned at point number 2. And hence, because of this Tavi river, Jammu come to the railway station. It is of Jammu Tavi. Other river which is called as Uda river. Presently, it is called as Uj river, and in the Vishnu Dharmottara Puran, it was called as Udha, and in Panini's book, in one part of Ashtadhyay, it is referred as Udaya, right? And another river is Vishwamitra river, and since the Jammu region, the people of Jammu, they are called as Dogra, and the language that they speak is called as Dogri, which Sangeeta has also mentioned that I have participated in making the Dogri glossary. They turn into Ba, so and all the future, because Dogri is J and Ba dominant language. So Vishwamitra, possibly from Viswamitra, and it turned to Bastar. Now Samba is one of the districts after Kathua in Jammu. It flows there. In Panini, Udaya, this river, Uj river, it flows in Kathua region, which still exists, and it is a very seasonal river. Right now, there is nothing inside it. There would be nothing inside it except the stones and the riverbed. But during floods in that, and Panini also talks about the Bidya river, which is Bay River, which is next to near Ujja River, and it also still exists, and it is just nothing but a bed of rocks, and during rainy season there are some floods inside it. And Kalidas, in his work, we know that his Raghu, his work, in this work he referred Udaya, the floods, he compares the flood in Uj and Bay River, which is Udaya and the Bidya River, and compares them with the youthfulness and with the young energy of Ram and Lakshman. Now they have described the tribes on the basis of color segregation. They talked about, Rigved talked about the people of Jammu region, or which I have shown you in the map previously. It talks about dark-skinned people, and they have been identified as Doom, Mev, Balwal, and Kolis. Presently, these are now the lower caste communities of this area. Earlier, they were referred as the ruling class community in the Veds. Why? Because they have hills above Purushini. Purushini is the name of river Iravati. Iravati is the name away from my house, from here. So he talks about that the leader of these dark-skinned people, Shomer, which again falls the river above Ravi river and Indus region. Of them that they gave Rishi Vashisht in Rig Ved Mandal 7 called them these Shishnadev people. They had 100 stone castles, lots of castles made up of stone in that time. So certainly the stone castles must be of some significance of social status, political power, and hunted among the large or huge spaces. And again, in this, Rishi Vashisht says that these were destroyed by Indra. So obviously we know that another name of Indra, fortified city within the fort, and Purandhar means the destroyer of the cities or the forts. Yes, Purandhar. Again, in the Atarya Brahman, the last part or towards the end of it, which someone, I can't recall the name of the authors, but I remember it, and how much of they exist today, and they try to locate them in the region as described in those classical literature. And they have done a very good comparative study. One is from environmental studies, other is from botany department. So Panini, I think it Puran, Markandeya Puran, Pad Manjari, Gaburas, the people living over here. Now, Audambra, many linguists believe that the term Audambra is from a non-Sanskrit language. It became the root word for caste presently, which is the marginalized community of this area. Again, in Jain text, they have been referred as Malech. Now, what is Malech? Malech, according to the Jain text, in I think they have given Tatha. It is Tatha Artha Sutra, Tathartha Sutra. They have described Malech as speakers of unknown language. Malech are the people of unknown language, that is the alien, that means those, and also in a derogatory term, they talk about Malech as people who speak cases. Their knowledge about principalities was so scanty. Hence, their narrative is lifeless. So this is one of the writers, analysts who talked about their work. So he further adds that this work elementally lacked the common man's information, their society and culture. At that point of time, there was a shift in writing history. From the political events, the field of writing about common man was rising. The work lacks the reference of the great literary and the historical, like Darshini, as I told, Gulabnama, historical works address the autobiography of the nation. So they missed on referring to Gulabnama and Darshini, which worked as the historical as well as the literal work. A major writer is George Carmichael. I think I think so Bharika, kindly mute yourself. Kindly mute yourself. Yeah. So George Carmichael Smith, in his book A History of Reading. May I request the organizer to request the participant to mute herself? So Bharnika, kindly mute yourself. Okay, whatever. So I'll continue. George Carmichael Smith, he wrote a book on A History of Reading Families of Lahore with some account of Jammu Rajas, the Sikh soldiers and their Sardars. He wrote it in 1847. Now you see, what are the sources of this book? So what are the sources of this book? It is not the Sheikh, this is the way they wrote about Sikh, all right? At that time, the spellings, British spellings, they were not very much concrete. So Sikh, they wrote about, you may think it is Sheikh, but it is not Sheikh, it is the Sikh. All right. What were the sources of his book, of G.C. Smith? Information from the Sikh Sardars of his army, European officials in the Sikh army service, and the chief notes, which artillery has left. So these were the sources. There was no officially research was done by this man, and he still wrote on the listening and the stories, or the maybe they would sit for a drink and listen to a story or in an elaborated. Some Professor Sukhdev Singh Chade on Jammu, he says he has a very but when it comes to the career of Lords of the Hills, here he refers to the Dogras, or career of Lords of the Hills and their role in Lahore and Anglo-Sikh War, he adopts the colonial stance and hostility towards Dogra Raja and blame them for whatever happened in the Sikh politics. This is something from his narrative, it is very clear that his main purpose was to put Dogras in such a place where their position and the rulers could be challenged and the colonizers can take over. Smith did not rise above the traditional prejudices of British authorities towards the Dogras.